Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, March 28th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. A couple of quick clarifications. Number one, the price you see over here will be changing and the candlestick you see right there will be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, ticker symbol SI. Did this one on Friday, so that's where the red and green line are coming from. So this will mean a bit more to those of you that watch that video, but hopefully you remember me talking about that red line right there, and you can see this morning got the break from it, and then from there a very nice move down, or excuse me, upwards. But then when it did pull back, classic example of a former area of resistance now acting as support as it came down there, and in technical jargon, back tested that breakout point right there. Red line held, and now the price has started to go sideways. So what I'm going to do here is get rid of that level as it served its purpose, but now also adjust this green line up to what is seemingly the newest level of support right there at $1.90. And whenever green lines are needing to be adjusted in the upwards direction, that's always a good sign because that does imply that those lows are getting higher and higher, and that's how bigger picture uptrends are constructed. So newest area of support at 190. If that level doesn't quite hold up, the next level you'd want to keep a close eye on is that purple line there, the 50-period moving average, currently valued at $1.62. In terms of levels of resistance, pretty straightforward right now, as at least as far as the overall level one, and that's right up here at the $2.43 mark. You can see several times this morning, price up around that area, could never quite push through, so keep an eye on that. And more so a near-term level to watch, right down there around $2.19. So keep an eye on that. But overall, higher highs and higher lows. And as I mentioned earlier, that's how those longer-term uptrends are constructed. Next one here, FRC. Now, this one's a little tricky to talk about because it depends on your point of view. Meaning, if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, and you bought on the gap up and your plan was to buy and sell within 20 minutes, well, then from that perspective, yeah, the chart looks really bad because in technical jargon, again, this is what we call a gap and trap. Price gapped up and then down it went. However, if you care about more so the bigger picture point of view, and again, this will mean more to those of you that watch previous videos, overall, the chart held up right where you would want to see it hold up, and that is down here at this 1350 mark, which was a level of resistance going into today. But as the rule states, when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. And when you know it, came down there, dropped, and look where it leveled off, right at that green line before a bit of a bounce upwards, which is very important from the bigger picture point of view, because as of right now, there is still a possibility if this holds as the low, well, then when you compare that with the previous low, that now what do you have? You have higher lows, or if you want to make this more visual, if you envision these as stair steps, you have stair steps now progressing in the upwards direction. Again, I 100% realize that if you're a day trader and you bought right there, you don't really care about these stair steps. But that's why I'm trying to distinguish between, did you have some sort of day trader mentality coming in or more of a bigger picture point of view? So yeah, today in and of itself was a gap and trap, but looking at more than just one day, you can see that the price does still have the opportunity to chip away and build a higher base. So let's see if this is indeed the start of a bigger picture uptrend. Next one here, MULN, and I like this one and put it in an exact sequence because it illustrates kind of the other problem. Now think about it. The FRC, it did gap up and then come back down, but it didn't go, drop below that 1350 mark. But in this situation, not good in the sense that, sure, it gapped up, came all the way up here, and then it dropped. But unlike FRC, remember FRC was able to put in some sort of higher low, so maybe this one would have stopped right here. This one didn't. It just kept dropping, and back down to where it went at its lows from Friday. So move up, came back down, but as you can see, I can't draw any sort of, higher stair steps and do anything like that. Just not possible because it gapped up and was a very nasty gap and trap because it came back down and just completely went right back to the lows of where it actually, where it previously was. So on that note there, still a popular stock out there, but 10 cents is now the newest area of support. Nothing fancy or complicated there. Literally just a question of where did the bleeding finally stop, and as of now, it has finally started to go sideways at that 10-cent mark. In terms of levels of resistance, you'll want to watch that purple line right there, the 50-period moving average, right now valued right around that 11-cent mark. But yeah, overall, rough day today. Next one, WISA, in a very, very nice pattern here. So let me be clear. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying to imply this is a great talent or a special discovery on my part. The exact opposite. I assure you, a lot of people have noticed this pattern. And I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same patterns and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So First dynamic here that you got to think a lot of people have drawn and taken notice of is that trend line right there. I'd say pretty basic trend line. So they've drawn that in, and then they've also put in some sort of level of support down here at essentially $3.30, because that's also the value of that pink line there, 200 period moving average. And then maybe make this easier. Let's just keep it one color. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big explosion up right there. For you golfers out there, we'll make it a little bit more visual. We have our golf hole down here, and we have ourselves a bull pennant pattern. So while nothing is guaranteed, is it valid? Is it plausible to think that if the price comes up here and can get a break up through the top part of that pattern, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a plausible outcome. So if you like to play this price range and you like to play bull pennants, certainly keep an eye on it. Next one here, AMC, and we have ourselves a very exciting question that can now be asked, and that is based around the fact that the price has really struggled with this trend line. However, as I speak, you can see the price is now up above that trend line, which means we can ask the question, it makes sense, okay, is this the start of something bigger? Now think about it. You can't ask that question if nothing worthwhile even happens. That wouldn't make any logical sense. But in this situation, something has happened. Again, what has happened? The trend line break. Therefore, we can say, okay, is this trend line break the start of something even bigger? So definitely a very interesting dynamic right here. To be fair, maybe it's not. Maybe this thing rolls back over because there are no guarantees. But again, to be fair, that is a two-sided coin because, well, I mean, maybe it is the start of something bigger, and this thing starts to get rip and roaring in the upwards direction. So like I said, if you like to play this price range, if you like to play situations where breakouts are just starting, so it makes sense to then ask the question, okay, is this the start of an even bigger breakout? Definitely keep an eye on it. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering here in a few days. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency, to manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying what you've seen, then definitely get signed up for the free live webinar. Next one, IMPP, and you can see here that not a whole lot of stuff going on earlier on, basically no volume at all. And then the volume came pouring in this afternoon, which again brings about that question, okay, is this the start of something even bigger? Is this volume actually going to look smaller in the next couple of days because all this is just getting started? Maybe not, but again, that's the idea of a watch list. Not to, to find unique, to find interesting situations and not randomly rush out and buy something, but to watch it and see how it continues to play out. So like I said, definitely interesting dynamics here. First key level of resistance that I'm curious about here moving forward, right up there at 23 cents. And then as far as areas of support are concerned, have an interesting level right there, that former trend line here that has now been broken. And then again, just basic technical analysis, you would want to consider this now an area of support, which puts that area for those of you that like to play pullbacks down there around the 19.5 cent mark. But yeah, no doubt about it. Big surge in volume. Price has definitely shown the ability to move and move quickly. So is this the start of an even bigger type action? Let's see how the next couple of days play out. Next one here, CCL, and I probably should have put this at that other location, the watch list, because I was talking about those gap and traps and those stocks that gap up, start strong, and then just come back down. But like MULN, there's just no ability for me to, do something like this where I'm drawing some sort of high or low or anything like that. The price gapped up, came all the way up here. And I mean, true story, there were some poor souls out there that were buying right there. And to think that people were buying up there, and then this thing dropped all the way down there. A savage and nasty move. So overall, a total gap and trap here, which does now bring about some interest in the first sense of this trend line right here, which you can see the price is essentially sitting right at. So let me change just to green to represent support. So you go through the history of things and you can see by using these couple of areas there, did a good job of forecasting buying there. And once again, broadly speaking, the prices at least started to go sideways here and not just continue to drop like it was doing there in this section of the chart right there. So again, the power of charts, I'll turn that into a quick plug. Get signed up for that free class. Great example of, what a coincidence. Straight down, then all of a sudden it gets at that green line and starts to go sideways. Once again, does that guarantee that this is indeed the bottom? No, but is it plausible to think that, okay, maybe this is finally some sort of bottom and finally some sort of bounce could happen? Yes, that is certainly a plausible outcome. So if you can be disciplined and honor stop losses, then given the nature of the chart right now, compared to what's being risked, if you do get some sort of bounce or who knows, maybe a full-blown reversal, then again, relative to what's being risked, you could be looking at some very nice upside rewards. So if you like to play these sorts of scenarios, keep an eye on it. Next one, TSLA Tesla. And in all actuality, depending on your point of view, now, of course, if you're day trading, plenty of movement here to make some money from the day trading standpoint. But if you care about more so the bigger picture point of view, then it's looking like we are officially in just a broader channel. Top of the channel up there at $200. Bottom of the channel down there around the 186 mark, because over the past several days, yeah, it's been just a lot of kind of chopping back and forth. So from a broader picture point of view, it's just still the big question mark of, who's ultimately going to win out? Are the bulls going to win out by pushing to the upside of the pattern? Are the bears going to win out by pushing to the downside of the pattern? That's all still, remains to be seen. But zooming in here and looking at things from more so, like I said, now a day trading standpoint, the level here that I'm very curious about as a day trader and somebody that watches Tesla on a routine basis is this trend line right there to me. And let's actually change this up so we can help differentiate these a little bit here. So we have that area of resistance right there, which again, yes, 200 is a key level, but before you put too much emphasis on that, let's first see if the price can break this trend line here. And then the flip side is also true. You have this line coming up right here, bit of a trend line that was formed today. So I'm very curious about that from a support standpoint. So we'll change that to green, and then, like I said, once again, try to differentiate it out a little bit. So there's also that level right there. So in the very near term, there's essentially this wedge pattern that has formed. That the first question mark, which way is the wedge going to break? And then after the wedge breaks, can the price, if it's to the downside, break through that level, or if it's to the upside, break through that level? So yes, a lot of dynamics at play here, but as always, Tesla's been providing some good opportunities. So let's see how it plays out on Tuesday. Next one here, PYXS, and I like this because there's just some very well-defined levels, and the main level right there. So again, going back to that talking point of self-fulfilling prophecies, I'm not trying to press you. This is not a great discovery. You got to think that a lot of people have noticed that and just drawn a line right there at $3.15. So as I've mentioned, while that guarantees nothing, is it plausible? Is it valid to think that if the price can come back up to that area and get a break up through it, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is a valid thought process to have in terms of areas of support. Former breakout area, basically the top part of this former sideways channel down there around 235. If I zoom out, you can see right here, price came down, got stuck below this level for quite a while, but now with the price up above it after today, just basic rules that would suggest that could act as an area of support. So a couple different ways you could approach this here. Yeah, volume has dropped off quite a bit. So another thing you'll need to consider is, do you believe that this is just a low volume pullback and there's going to be another round where, volume comes surging back in and create some good movement? So you also want to have that as a consideration within trade plan development. But overall, like I said, nice, well-defined levels and an interesting dynamic to at least keep an eye on. Next one, TQQQ, which is, it's hanging in there, but not really what I think a lot of people are expecting, even myself included, because on Friday, got the break of that trend line, got the gap up this morning, and then that gap up just completely failed and down it went. But to look at things as the glass half full, at least the price didn't come down here and then blast down through that green line right there, because that's been a key area of support that I've talked about time and time again. However, with that being said, the last 30 minutes as I speak, you can see big red candle here. It's looking like 2490, that green line, could be coming and, getting tested on Tuesday, which brings out a very, very key question that a lot of people will be wondering and watching. 2490, is the price going to bounce again? Is it going to fail? If it fails, does that cause it to go down to that 200 period moving average? So like I said, nobody knows what's going to happen. Some people are valid to think that it could bounce. Some people are valid to think that it could break down. So that's why risk management matters, because somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong. But the underlying dynamic here is that 2490 is going to be a very important level and one that a lot of trade plans could be based around. So like I said, especially when you consider the nature of, you got to think people are getting pretty disappointed. Got the breakout on Friday, got a gap up, and now all that seems to have almost been completely wiped away. So a break at 2490 could just cause those people to wave the white flag, which is a self-fulfilling prophecy where that creates even more downside selling pressure. So we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, it's looking like 2490 will be tested. Does it hold? Does it break? We'll have to see how things play out on Tuesday. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the free live class. It'll be later this week, like I said, Thursday, March 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do two things for me. Hit the like button, leave a comment, tell me what you traded today, tell me what you're watching tomorrow. But those two things help out the channel, communicate to me that you're enjoying. And as long as I know that you're enjoying these videos, I will continue to put in the required time and effort to get them out too. So again, like I said, get signed up for that class, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching.